You are just one step away from your next promotion. All you need to understand is the executive formula. Every time you're presenting to executives, you get judged by this exact same formula. And bad presentation means zero increase in your earning potential. This means all your presentation till date and going forward will be failing if you don't solve this. I have personally spent more than 3 years making the exact same mistake until I finally got it. And once you know this, I guarantee your career will just skyrocket. In this video, I'm going to tell you the exact executive formula, why it's so easy to misunderstand it, and how to tactically build it for yourself. So let's get straight into it. What is the executive formula? It's the executive maths happening in action. Every executive at each level is always working backwards from the P&L number. Always. There's no meeting, no strategy session, no budget approval that is not running through this exact filter. And this maths changes depending on the revenue stage of the company. Whether you are a $10 million in revenue, 100 million or a billion, there's a scale match to each and every conversation that's happening at the top. Let me give you a real example so this clicks. Say your company is generating $100 million in revenue and the target is to grow 40% next year. This means you need to add $40 million of new revenue. Now, if your sales team closes at a 30% close rate, work the maths backwards, you need to generate $133 million worth of pipeline opportunities for the numbers to land. That's $40 million divided by 30% close rate. So 133 million in pipeline. That's the number the executive is staring at. Now, at any given point, the executive wants to be invested in as many large opportunities as possible that will help generate the 133 million in the least amount of time with the least amount of risk. That's how they think. Time, risk, and scale. Now, here's where most people mess up. You walk into a meeting, you've prepared a strategy for $5 million initiative, you've done your research, your slides look great, you've rehearsed it. But $5 million is less than 5% of the total pipe. The executive is not going to be able to give this strategy dedicated time and energy. Because for that opportunity to succeed, it's going to need more than 5% of the bandwidth. But the return is way less than what the bandwidth is worth. So it gets deprioritized. Not because it's a bad idea, but because the maths doesn't work at that scale. And this is where the misunderstanding happens. You might have prepared the best presentation anyone has ever seen. Beautiful slides, clear logic, solid data to back it. But if it doesn't fit the formula, it gets rejected. And worse, you get immediately labeled as someone who doesn't get business. That label, that's the career killer. Because that part of business where the management decides whether you get it or not is literally just this. Do you understand the executive maths? That's all they're evaluating, not the slide design, not your speaking skill, not your research depth. Just does this person understand how the numbers connect? Now, here's the thing that people miss. Every project can fit into the formula. Every single one. It's not that the project is too small or too irrelevant. It's that you haven't framed it in the language of the formula. And if you don't, here's what happens. The project doesn't get additional resources. It doesn't get budget. It doesn't get executive bandwidth to move decisions forward. On the flip side, if the project is running and has support, it's because the executive maths is working for that project. Someone framed it right, someone connected it back to the P&L, and if that connection breaks at any point, the project gets discarded. Doesn't matter how much work went into it. So now the real question is, how do you actually build this for yourself? First thing, and this is important, as someone running projects inside a company, you don't just need to know the executive formula for your own project. You need to know the executive maths for every project that is aligned to your entire department. Like every single one. And that is because of these two key reasons. One, and this is the career accelerator. It gets you ready to contribute relevant points in meetings. When you are in a room and you can speak to the maths of projects that aren't even yours, you are signaling to leadership that you are ready to take on larger opportunities in the organization. That's how people get picked for bigger roles, not by asking but demonstrating it. And the second reason is it improves your executive maths building skills. The more you practice building the executive formula across different projects, the sharper you get at doing it for any future project you take on. And there's a bonus. When you build the formula across the entire department, you start seeing which projects are weakly aligned and which are strongly aligned. You develop a strategic view that most people at your level simply don't have. And tactically, you can start asking for the right projects, the ones that are strongly aligned, the one that gets executive attention, the ones that move your career ahead. Alright, so here's the tactical way to build this. The first step is to find the core metric the executive really cares about. Not what you think they care about, what they actually care about. This usually ties directly to the P&L. Revenue, margin, cost reduction, retention rate at scale. Find that one number. The next step is to build a tree of drivers that are moving that metric. What are those 3 to 4 things that actually make that number go up or down? Keep this as high level as possible because this is very critical. The more nuance you add at this stage, the more confusion you create for yourself. You lose the macro picture. Very critically, stay completely zoomed out. Now, step 3 is to map which drivers are run by which teams. And when you do this, something really interesting will happen. You start to see the org structure in itself is designed around these levers. The reporting lines, the team boundaries, the budget allocation, they all map back to the driver tree. Now the last step is to identify the aligned metric for each lever. Every team, every lever has a number it's responsible for. Just find that. Now here's the kicker, because when you walk into the meeting and you say this project moves this lever which drives this metric which connects to the P&L and target of X, that's the executive formula in action. That's when the executive looks at you and thinks this person gets it, and then you win. Now just to summarize, the business is always trying to tie everything back together to the P&L. That's the game. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every meeting, every presentation, every budget conversation, it all runs through the same tree. So stop preparing presentations in isolation. Start connecting everything you do to the executive maths. Build that tree, know the numbers, and watch what happens to your career. Now, if you want to brainstorm and build the executive formula for your team, then you can book some time. I'm putting my calendar link in the description below. And we have gone through the executive formula, but there are specific meeting mistakes which you could be making, which would still be killing your executive presentations. So watch this next video where I will show you the 4 key mistakes not to make in any executive meeting.